This is chapter number 1, the rise of nationalism in Europe. So we are taking question and answer on the rise of nationalism in Europe. We have to write notes, short notes on Giuseppe Mazzini. So Giuseppe Mazzini, he was born in Genoa in 1807 and he became a member of secret society of Carbonari. At the age of 24, he was sent to exile in 1831 for attempting a revolution in Liguria. Then he formed two underground societies. First was Young Italy in Marseille and then Young Europe in Bern, whose members were like-minded young men from Poland, France, Italy and German states. He has a belief that God has intended nations to be the natural units of mankind. Second one is write a note on Count Camillo de Cavour. So Chief Minister Cavour, their full name is this one, who led the movement to unify the region of Italy, was neither a revolutionary nor he was a democrat. So like any other wealthy and educated members of the Italian elite, he used to speak French better than Italian. But he was tactful, and through a tactful diplomatic alliance with France, Cavour engineered Sardinia, Piedmont, and they succeeded in defeating the Austrian forces in 1859. Apart from the regular troops, there were volunteers also. So, large number of volunteers under the leadership of Giuseppe Garibaldi joined this fray. The Greek War of Independence. There was an event that mobilized national feelings among the educated elite across Europe, and this was the Greek War of Independence. The Greek War of Independence. So Greece has been part of Ottoman Empire since the 15th century. The growth of revolutionary nationalism in Europe sparked off a struggle for independence among these Greeks, which began in 1821. So nationalists in Greece got support from the Greeks who were living outside in the exile, and also from various Western Europeans who have great sympathies for the ancient Greek culture. Write a note on Frankfurt Parliament. In the German regions, large number of these political associations, whose members were mostly middle class professionals, businessmen and prosperous artisans, they came together in the city of Frankfurt and they decided to vote for only German National Assembly. On 18 May 1848, 831 elected representatives, they gathered in the Frankfurt Parliament convened in the Church of St. Paul. They also drafted a constitution for German nation, and that has to be headed by a monarchy subject to the parliament. But when the deputies offered the crown to these terms to Frederick Wilhelm IV, which was King of Prussia, he just rejected it and he joined the monarchs to oppose the elected assembly, and finally it has gone down. What step did the French revolutionaries take to create a sense of collective identity among the French people? From the very early beginning, the French revolutionaries, they introduced various measures and practices that could create a sense of collective, combined identity among the French people. The idea of la patrie, that is the fatherland, and les citoyens, that is the citizen, emphasized the notion of united community enjoying equal rights under a constitution. New French flag, tricolor flag, and this was chosen to replace the formal royal standard. The three estates were there. So the estate general was elected by the body of active citizens now, and this estate general was renamed to National Assembly. New hymns were composed, oaths were taken, martyrs were commemorated, and all in the name of the nation. And there was a centralized administrative system. This was put in place, and it formulated uniform law for all the citizens within the territory. Internal custom duties and dues, they were abolished, and a uniform system of weights and measures, this was adopted. Regional dialects, they were discouraged, and French, this language was spoken and written in Paris. This became the common language of the nation. Who were Marian and Germania? What was the importance of the way in which they were portrayed? So they are the name of the portrait or the symbol that a country represent at that time. So these are female allegories. Female allegories, they were invented by artists in the 19th century to represent a complete nation. In France, she was Christian Marian, this one, a popular Christian name which underlined the idea of popular people choice and people's nation. So her characteristics were drawn from those of liberty and the republic, that is the red cap, the tricolor and the cockade. Statues of Marian were erected in squares, public square, to remind the public of this national symbol of unity and to persuade them, to identify with them, to connect with this symbol. So Marian images were marked on coins and also on stamps. When we talk about Germania, this becomes the allegory of German nation. In visual representation, Germania wears a crown of oak leaves, and this oak leaves, Germans understand it to be heroism. Briefly trace the process of German unification. So nationalist feelings were widespread among middle-class Germans who in 1848 they tried to unite the different regions of German Confederation into a nation-state governed by an elected parliament. So this liberal initiative to nation building was, however, it was repressed by the combined force of the monarchy and the military, supported by large landowners called Junkers of Prussia. From then on, Prussia took on the leadership of the movement for national unification. So the chief minister of Prussia, Otto von Bismarck, he was the architect of this process. He carried out with the help of Prussian army and bureaucracy 3 wars over 7 years with Austria, Denmark and France ended in Prussian victory, and it completed the process of German unification. In January 1871, the Prussian king William I was proclaimed German emperor in a ceremony held at Versailles. What changes did Napoleon introduce to make the administrative system more efficient in the territories ruled by him? So Napoleon did a lot of changes within the wide swath of territory that came under Napoleon Bonaparte control. He set about introducing many of the reforms that he had already done or introduced in France. Through a return to monarchy, Napoleon had no doubt destroyed the democracy in France, but in the administrative field, he had incorporated certain revolutionary principles in order to make the whole system more rational, efficient. The Civil Code of 1804, usually known as Napoleonic Code, Napoleonic Sanhita, did away with all the privileges based on birth, established equality before the law and secured the right to property. The code was exported to the regions under French control. In the Dutch Republic, in Switzerland, Italy and Germany, Napoleon simplified administrative divisions, abolished the feudal system and freed the peasants from the serfdom and manorial dues. In the town also, the guild restrictions were removed and the people were freed from these. Transport and communication system were improved. Peasants, artisans, workers and new businessmen, they enjoyed this new freedom. Businessmen and the small scale producers of the good in particular began to realize that the uniform laws, standardized weights and measures, and a common national currency, this would facilitate the movement and exchange of goods and capital from one region to another. Explain what is meant by 1848 revolution of the liberals. What were the political, social and economic ideas supported by the liberals? So since the French Revolution, this liberalism, Udarvadita, had stood for the end of autocracy and clerical privileges, a constitution and representative government through parliament. 19th century liberals also stressed the inviolability of private property. Now, the memory of the French Revolution nonetheless continued to inspire the liberals, and the major task or major issues taken by the liberal nationalists who actually criticized the new conservative order was freedom of the press. Parallel to this, revolts of poor, unemployed and starving peasants and the workers in many European countries in the year 1848, a revolution led by the mostly middle class educated was underway. So this event of February 1848 in France had brought about the abdication of the monarch and a republic based on universal male suffrage, that is, everyone is allowed to vote, had been proclaimed. In other parts of Europe where independent nation states they did not yet exist, like Germany, Italy, Poland, Austro-Hungarian Empire, men and women of the liberal middle classes combined their demands for constitutionalism with national unification. So they took advantage of the growing popular unrest because of the prevailing situation to push their demands for the creation of a nation state on parliamentary principles, a constitution, freedom of the press and freedom of association. How was the history of nationalism in Britain unlike the rest of Europe? So in Europe, if we talk about Italy and the formation of Germany, Britain has, you can say, there was no war, there was no bloodshed. So in Britain, the formation of nation state was not the result of sudden upheaval or revolution. It was a result of long drawn out process. There was no British nation prior to the 18th century. So the primary identities of the people who inhabited the British Isles, or you can say islands, were ethnic ones like the English, Welsh, Scottish and Irish. All of these ethnic groups had their own cultural and political traditions. But the English nation was good in wealth, importance and power. So it was able to extend its influence over the other nations of these islands. So the English Parliament, who had seized power from the monarchy in 1688 at the end of the protracted conflict, was the instrument through which a nation state with England as its epicenter came to be forged. The Act of Union in 1707 between England and Scotland, that resulted in the formation of the United Kingdom of Great Britain. And this, in effect, England was able to impose its influence on Scotland. The British Parliament was dominated by English members, and the growth of British identity meant this Scotland's distinctive culture and political institution was suppressed systematically. The Catholic clans that inhabited the Scottish Highlands suffered terrible repression whenever they attempted to assert their independence or freedom. The Scottish Highlanders, they were forbidden to speak their Gaelic language and wear their national dress, and large numbers were forcibly driven out of their homeland. Why did nationalist tensions emerge in Balkans? So Balkan is an area or you can region where too many ethnicity was there. Too many different people were living of different tradition and culture. So the most serious source of nationalist tension in Europe after 1871 was the era of the Balkans and the area called as the Balkans. The Balkan was a region of geographical and ethnic variation. Ethnic variation was there, comprising modern-day Romania, Bulgaria, Albania, Greece, Macedonia, Croatia, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Slovenia, Serbia, and Montenegro. And these inhabitants, they were known as Slavs. So a large part of Balkans were under the control of Ottoman Empire, and the spread of ideas of romantic nationalism in the Balkan, together with the disintegration of this Ottoman Empire, made this region very explosive. All through the 19th century, the Ottoman Empire had sought to strengthen itself through modernization and internal reforms, but very little success they gained. One by one, the European subject nationalities, all these nationalities which we talked about, broke away from its control and declared their independence. The Balkan people based their claims for independence or political rights on their nationality, and they used their history to prove that they had once been independent but had subsequently been subjugated by the foreign powers. Therefore, the rebellious nationalities in this Balkan region area thought of their struggles as an attempt to win back their long lost independence. Now we are taking the multiple choice questions. Who among the following hosted the Congress at Vienna in 1815? The answer is Duke Metternich. Which one of the following is true about the Treaty of Constantinople, Constantinia, in 1832? The answer is it recognized Greece as an independent nation. Who among the following formed the secret society called Young Italy? The answer is Giuseppe Mazzini. Who among the following took power in the southern part of Vietnam after the division of the country? So this we are going to take later, because the chapter Indochina has the answer there. But just for your information, the answer is this one. Which one of the following types of government was functioning in France before the revolution of 1789? The answer is monarchy. Who among the following were known as colons? Again, this question is from the second Indochina chapter, discussion or chapter. But for your information, the answer is French citizens living in Vietnam. So answer is A. Which one of the following statements is false regarding the Act of Union 1707? The answer is it was an agreement between England and Ireland. This is false. Which one of the following states was ruled by Italian princely house before unification of Italy? The answer is Sardinia, Piedmont, D. Which one of the following statements is not true about Giuseppe Mazzini? The answer is C. He wanted Italy to be monarchy. This is wrong, otherwise A, B, C are true. Next one. Who said when France sneezes, the rest of Europe catches cold? The answer is Metternich. Which treaty recognized Greece as an independent nation? The answer is the Treaty of Constantinople. Who was responsible for the unification of Germany? He was Bismarck. Which area was known as the powder keg of Europe? The answer is Balkans. Aled, the measuring unit of Germany, was used to measure cloth. Zollverein, started in 1834 in Prussia, refers to the answer is customs union. The Ottoman Empire was ruled by the Emperor of Turkey. At which of the following places was the Frankfurt Assembly convened? The answer is at the Hall of Mirrors in the Palace of Versailles. Well, in the text, it is given that the church was also there, but the main was this one, and the second answer could be this Church of St. Paul. But basically, the Hall of Mirrors in the Palace of Versailles it was. Next is, what did the crown of oak leaves symbolize? The answer is heroism. Heroism for the Germans. By which of the following treaties was the United Kingdom of Great Britain formed? And the answer is Act of Union. Who was Wolfe Tone? Wolfe Tone. The answer is an Irish Catholic who revolted against the British dominance. Which of the following best explain utopian society? The answer is an idealistic society which can never be achieved. After the French Revolution 1789, the right to vote was given to all property owning male citizens of the country. The main function of Prussian Zollverein was to, the answer is, abolish tariff barrier. Which of the following group of powers collectively defeated Napoleon? The answer is Austria, Prussia, and Russia and Britain. So these are 22. The answer is C. Which of the following countries is considered as the cradle of civilization? The answer is Greece. The Treaty of Vienna, signed in 1815. The answer is brought the conservative regime back to power. Rudiwadi. Romanticism refers to, the answer is cultural movement. Next is, in Prussia, who were referred as Junkers? The answer is large landowners. Which of the following is an allegory or attribute for liberty? The answer is red cap. What does a blindfolded woman carrying a pair of weighing scales symbolize? The answer is it's justice. Who among the following was proclaimed the first king of United Italy? The answer is Victor Emmanuel II. A nation state is a state where, the answer is this D. A state where people live in common territory, develop a sense of identity, and share a common history. Most important outcome of the French Revolution of 1789 was, the answer is transfer of sovereignty from monarch to the French citizen. So it is C. Identify and mark the incorrect response. The Napoleonic Code. The answer is C. Formulated codes for the army. This is the incorrect response. Others are correct. Next is, large number of people were hostile to the Napoleonic Code because, the answer is, administrative changes did not go hand in hand with the political freedom. For the middle class of Europe, the most important feature of liberalism was individual freedom and equality before law. The answer is C. Why did the Frankfurt Parliament fail to achieve its goal? The answer is C. Kaiser William refused to accept the crown and opposed this assembly, and the assembly broke down. So these are the answers for the multiple choice we have taken. So this is all about the question and answer of this topic. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself.